day one of our session, Diagnose the Crisis. We're so glad that you're here with us virtually today. Before we get started, I want to remind you that today's session is being recorded. So if you need to step away, you can also revisit this at a later time. It'll always be available for you. But before we dive in, let's pause and ask ourselves, why are we even here? Well, we're here because healthcare is on a tipping point. Many of us are witnessing and living the crisis every day. It's burnout, workforce shortages, moral distress, a sense of disconnection. These challenges aren't just individual, they're systemic. Let's make nurses, it makes nurses, I should say, want to quit. And they're doing just that in droves. So today we're not just gathering, we're confronting what's broken and starting to design a better way forward that works. Today we're going to explore and going to see what other leaders are saying about out here and being intentional about creating safe spaces, how to create these collaborative safe spaces, especially in times of uncertainty and pressure.
So here's a simple request to ground us in the moment. In one word, how would you describe today's crisis? Drop that word into the chat. We want to see what's top of mind for each of you. Okay, so we have crisis. We have overwork. We have overwhelm. We have overtime. We have challenging, disheartening, uncertainty. There are so many words, Dina, that so aptly describe what every nurse tells us whenever we speak. These are the things that are challenging them. These are the things that truly are creating an impasse for nurses today. So thank you. Thanks to each and every one of you. These words matter. They represent the emotional truth of our collective experience, and they'll help guide us today. Back to you, Dina.
We're going to start today with a video recording from our good friend, Vicki Good, a renowned nurse leader and critical care nursing icon. So Sharon, let's go ahead and share that video from Vicki Good.
Absolutely.
Welcome, everyone. In celebration of the International Nurses Week, I'm thrilled to be joined by Vicki Good from the American Association of Critical Care Nurses. Vicki is a passionate advocate for nursing excellence and has dedicated her career to improving patient care and empowering nurses. Today, we'll hear her insights on nurses' vital role in healthcare and how we can support and celebrate their contributions. So Vicki, thank you for being here, and let's get started, and I'm going to give you the floor.
Thank you, Dina. Well, as I reflect on your statement, I just have to think about, one, the unique contributions that nurses make and how amazing and what an honor it is for us, because we get to take care of patients at the most vulnerable point in their lives, and what a special time that is. And it takes a special, unique individual to do that. And that's what I think about nurses is we're just so unique. We are dedicated, and we just throw our heart and soul into nurses. So during this week of Nurses Week, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for every single nurse that's out there and the work that they do, whether you're a direct care nurse, you're a nurse leader, a consultant. There's just many roles that nurses play. So one, thank you. And know that you are highly valued and your contributions matter in healthcare now more than ever. And you've got to realize that, and you've got to know that your power is critically important at this point in time.
Very, very powerful words, very inspiring to me. And I want to thank you for sharing that. And being a patient about 9 months ago, I'll never forget just my experience as a patient where that nurse was, adjusting some things and checking my IV. And when she sat down and she asked me, she goes, "How are you doing today?" And really asked me, "How am I doing?" Those little things that nurses do, I don't think the public really understands that there's a person behind there, and they really do appreciate, what you do every day. So thank you, Vicki, for sharing your insights and passion with us today. Your dedication to nursing excellence and advocacy is truly inspiring. As we celebrate International Nurses Week, remember to honor and support those incredible nurses that are making a difference every day. And thank you to all those nurses out there. Your impact is immeasurable. Thank you.
As you were listening to Vicki share the words, I'd love for you to just take a moment in the chat and just put down what did it make you feel from your heart? When you heard her sharing her own thoughts, just go ahead and share with us in the chat how it made you feel. We'll give you just a few minutes.
Takes just a couple of minutes for some of those words to populate.
That's okay. Well, as we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and just want to introduce a concept to you all, and that's about diagnosing this crisis with all of you. To start, we're going to dive right into an interview with several of our participants who want to share their experiences. And if Sharon has any words that have popped up in the chat, I'll ask her to share those before we jump into other people who have experienced a diagnostic thinking group and to share their insights and what they got from that. So I'm going to hand that back over to you, Sharon.
Okay, so the words in the chat are moved, inspired, and so much more. I'm going to show that very short 2-minute snippet right now of some of our recent grads, and let's see where we go from there. Are you seeing that video?
It's coming.
Becomes a leeway into the transition to practice, because without all of the pieces, an important part of the puzzle is still missing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You would have a way through, but you will not have a complete way through. You would not close the loop. There will still be pending issues.
This was one of my first steps into leadership and my leadership development. So as I mentioned before, being part of the group helped me develop professionally and personally. So this was by being able to learn about myself, about my leadership style, what I expect from others and what I expect from myself. And this self-positionality of self-awareness has helped me grow a lot personally, to understand my own personal biases, what I bring to the table, my background, and what can I contribute, and what are, of course, my weaknesses, and what I need to get to with people that can fill those gaps for me, and I can fill their gaps for them. So we can be a good team, because nursing, of course, is also a teamwork profession.
You joined one of our diagnostic design thinking groups. Tell me about your experience and how did it impact your life and your career?
Yeah, it was so exciting to be in that group, because when we were there, I met people from different countries as well, and it was so enlightening to know about their careers and their efforts to become better nurses and to keep growing in nursing. So it was so important for me to share their experiences and to learn from them, because they were so brave in facing that what life bring them, and it was so important for me to learn from them as well.
Okay, those snippets highlight what's possible when people feel safe to speak up, to show up, and to grow. Psychological safety is essential, not just for individuals, but for organizations and systems that truly want to thrive. It's a core principle of diagnostic design thinking, a way of leading that starts by understanding root causes, not just symptoms. Safety, listening, and reflection aren't soft skills. Think of them as smart strategies. When people feel safe to speak up, to make mistakes without shaming and blaming, to ask for help, everything changes. Psychological safety doesn't fix every issue, but without it, nothing else works. Today, we're going to explore how leaders can intentionally create these safe, collaborative spaces, especially in times of uncertainty and pressure. Dina, back to you.
How would you feel if you were in their shoes and able to experience what they did and benefit of that group's knowledge? When we're putting groups together, we are being very intentional about sharing experiences, the beliefs, ideas. We are bridging the gap. We're creating connection. We're creating community. And with the knowledge of this group together creates that vulnerability and that willingness to create. In order to create, you've got to feel safe enough. Sharon just talked about that, being able to use your creative minds, because we all know we have it. Nurses have the answers. The problem is that nurses have to create the environment where they want to stay. And our lives and careers are intermixed. They're a level that's immensely imaginable. The confidence factor, the ability to take the right path, to start the journey, and to follow through. These and more is basically what's missing in our traditional education and our career path at times. But the time is now. The situation is urgent and the door is open. And if you're interested in all and you want to learn more about a diagnostic design thinking group, much like you've just heard from Osama El-Deep, you've heard from Daniel, you've heard from Hortensia, who has been nursing for at least 45 years. I know for a very long time. Anywhere from a new nurse to nurses who've been in this for a very long time. Everybody gets benefit from this. If you're interested at all, we'd like for you to just put your name and your email address in the chat if you're interested, and we'd love to explore with you a little bit more if this is something you'd like to learn more about. But we know there is a gap and we have to fill it. We've got nurses that are leaving at 4.5 million nurses this year planning to leave. We want everybody to stay, but we're going to have to let them create the reason to stay. So we want to seize the moment and we want to make that change that will ignite your life, your vision, and your purpose. And it's going to take more than just a Band-Aid. There's nothing online. We don't have online courses. That's not what this is about. This is about real work, real time, real people, and intent sharing with things of what people are going through, what they've experienced, and what they believe. And it gives you an opportunity to create something unique. Back to you, Sharon.
I also want to mention that on our Facebook and LinkedIn posts, we added a gift for you. And the gift for Nurses Week is a free Core Values Index assessment. Dina, why don't you tell them first what the Core Values Index is? And then if people want to take that, let them know that they'll be getting a report from you at no charge whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's just a gift.
In 30 minutes from me. So the Core Values Assessment came up in 2015 after I left my corporate career, and Lynn Taylor had approached me and said, I have an assessment that I'd like for you to take. And as all of us that have been around for a little bit have probably taken a lot of assessments, and I found this so uncanny how accurate it is. It allows you to see who you are at your deepest core value and allows you to see where you're going to find the greatest contribution. So it sets a framework of making sure once we start these groups of where are your core values, what have you experienced, what makes you who you are, but it's also the things that are going to cause you conflict. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with the conflict. So it gives so much value. It only takes 5 minutes. I promise I will only take 30 minutes of your time, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to sit down with me and kind of discuss with you, well, what makes you, you, and how do you, leverage, who you are, and I love, Mel, I don't know if I can take you off mute, if you might be able to share. I see you there.
Yeah.
maybe just share a little bit what you got out of the fact of just, I'm not asking you to share your profile, but just maybe what you learned about it.
I just asked her to unmute, but I'm not
I
sure
did.
that. Oh,
I
hi.
did.
Hi,
Can you
Mel.
hear
How
me?
are you?
Good afternoon, and I'm glad I was able to join. Happy Nurses Week to everybody
And
on
to
the
you.
call.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a great day, isn't it? And a great week.
Amen.
For me, Dina, I think a couple of things is there was a lot of affirmation of, okay, yeah, that's who I am, that's how I'm knit. But I think that awareness, whichever's you want to take, I think this one just hit it spot on for me. And the fact that I got to sit down with you over a great cup of coffee and talk about it, and how it is impacting or can impact the journey I'm on today and that future journey. Certainly I can see how it impacted my past, but I think it's awareness and just acknowledgement. This is where I am. This is what I need to be successful. But there's kind of that basement and balcony. I always say, where do I do well in and what do I need to be aware of? So
Yeah.
that's how
Well,
I took it.
yeah,
A
thank you, Mel.
deeper
And
awareness.
yeah, and share people with what you do, because this is an important piece, right? So you have a big role and you do a lot of big things and you got something out of it, but just share people what you do.
I am a nurse who isn't actively practicing in the setting of nursing. I've actually been a CEO of healthcare systems for many years. It was almost 2 decades. Um, However, working alongside our nurses every day of the week, because I'm a nurse at heart, and I will always be that. Raised one too. So I have a daughter that's a nurse. And currently I have my own business as well, but I'm a transitional CEO working with a company called Warburg, and I happen to be in West Plains, Missouri, and got to know Dina and Sharon, and I'm happy to be working alongside them because I believe, like they do, there's a mission ahead of us, and that is our nursing and our workforce, that we call nursing, and the human experience that they have and the human experience that they're also gifting to those that they care for every day. And how do we set them up for success in an environment where they can thrive and find joy? So that's our ultimate goals, and I think they're doing some marvelous work and books they've written, and I got to read those and thought, you know what? So they've come alongside me and my team, and we're excited for what lies ahead.
Thank you. And I did not plan on calling on you
I
today.
know you did.
So I just want you to
No,
know,
what a
I
surprise
want
for
you
you,
to
Mel.
know, I'll pay you later. No, that's just a joke. No, but it
That's
really
all
was
the fly.
not planned at all, but I saw you, and to sit down with people and really to share, some of the things that we really do find some value in, and then meeting such an amazing human as you are, Mel. I just want to say thank you for sharing that with us today and being with us. So thank you, Sharon.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, Mel. So we opened the session and we planned these 2 days around the concept of what if nurses didn't just adapt to healthcare change? What if they didn't adapt to it, but what if they designed it? Mel hit a real soft spot for me when you talked about the word joy. With that process, allowing nurses to help design the process in which they work, would that bring joy back to nursing? I'd like each of you to think about that, because during this 2-day series, we're exploring how to build these environments with practical tools like active listening, inclusive feedback, and trust-based communication. These are the strategies that help us lead through uncertainty with clarity and with care. And we'll connect those skills to the bigger picture, decision making, collaboration, and leading with empathy. Because if we want real change, we have to lead differently. Dina, why don't you share the impact of psychological safety and collaborative decision making and leading with empathy?
Sure, happy to do so. Psychological safety, we hear a lot about it, but psychological safety allows your body to come out of that fight or flight mode. It allows us to tap into that prefrontal cortex, as you all know. That's where we're creatively thinking. It fuels collaboration. It helps you to make better decisions, but it also helps you to be aware of things that you may not be aware of. It's encouraging that open dialogue. And as we all know, with a lot of the nurses coming into and all over the United States, we have a lot of diversity. We want to keep people to feel inclusive. And the only way that we can do that is to tap into their experiences, their beliefs, they're having some of their dialogues, and then helping us to solve the real world problems that they're faced today. Because as we all know, time is of the essence. Nurses very rarely have a chance to sit down and do anything for themselves. Psychological safety absolutely means you have to slow the world down a little bit. You've got to breathe a little bit, but you also be able to create safety where people can share some of those most intense things that, create us making decisions that maybe, retrospectively looking back and saying, I don't know, I don't think that was the best decision, but what happened? We're going to get triggers throughout the entire day. So psychological safety allows us to unbind those pathways that we've already been set and designed in our brain, and allows us to make new neural pathways for things that we need to create for ourselves to bring back that joy in our lives. So it's very much about creating trust, it's connection, it's empowering, it gives people to speak up without fear. It's the combination that drives those deeper decisions, that deeper engagement, but also there's a closeness that groups have. Become very close, very trusted, as you can see with the people that shared with us on our short snippets. We went through a 6-month process with them. Now this group was with us about a year ago. We recently did this video with them to say, what did this do for you? It changed people's lives. They put things in place that they can continue to do. So we want to open up, the chat lines as well. We want to know what your reflections and what your insights are about how you feel. Do you have psychological safety where you work? And how, excuse me, how important is it to you as a nurse that you have that within your organization? Really important to us, and we feel it does make a big impact in how people experience the diagnostic design thinking group. So
And while you're thinking about what you want to enter in the chat, think about the question: would a psychologically safe environment, a toxin-free environment, and I don't mean the environment and the air, I mean the environment in which each of us work and live and exist and provide care, would that bring joy back to the journey? Would that reinstill for you the great feeling about why you became a nurse in the first place? I think that that's so important. So we'll wait for those comments. I see lots of emojis and other sorts of things, but psychological safety lays the foundation. But what comes next is curiosity. When people feel safe, they're ready to explore. They're ready to explore. And that's why asking the right questions at the right time truly matters. Sometimes people just don't feel heard. They're in a room. They think that they can only influence if they have a title, and they don't realize that we can all influence all of the time. We influence patients and families and the decisions that they make each and every day. So it really is about asking those right questions. Asking the right questions can drive critical thinking, foster innovation, and lead to better decision making. It's one of the most powerful tools in a leader's toolkit. And we'll be diving into that in great detail tomorrow, because it's at the heart of innovation and leadership. And it's how we begin, not to adapt, but to redesign systems that work better for everyone. Dina, back to you.
yeah, you couldn't have said it better, Sharon. And I will guarantee throughout, my lifetime that, I was probably never really asking the right question at the right time or solving the right question at the right time, because we know we don't have a chance and the ability to do this on our own. We really do need each other to understand the things that we can't see for each other. And so we want to thank you so much for joining us today. And we want to keep learning. We want to keep asking the right questions. We want to help each other lead forward, but more importantly, we want to help everyone create an environment where you want to stay. So we want you to come back here tomorrow. So for now, let's reflect on what you've heard today in the break.
We have a great comment in the chat, by the way.
Oh, well, then just
Okay.
go ahead, Sharon.
The comment in the chat says that psychological safety is important and needed for the healthcare environment. As a safety officer, I feel safe and use specific words and phrases to remove the feeling of an unsafe space to speak up. It is part of our culture. Thumbs up to you. I'd love to know where you work. Chances are lots of people on the call would also like to know where you work and they want to join you. They want to be in that kind of an environment, right, Dina?
Yes, absolutely. And we can't say thank you enough for joining us. We want to celebrate all nurses out there who make a difference in the lives of all of the patients. And we want to thank you so much for what you do and the hard work that you do. And we want you to have joy back in your work week and day today and the rest of the week.
Okay, I'm smiling because of the comments. First of all, Try Health in Cincinnati, Ohio. And Melody says we have that in the Ozarks too. It seems to me we have a lot of that going on in the Midwest, and having lived in the Midwest for 30 years, I think that I believe that. So the question, the big question, the one we started out with, the one we'll answer tomorrow is, what if nurses did not just adapt to healthcare change, but actually designed it? Let's explore that tomorrow by asking that right question, getting to the right question at the right time that will give us the right answer. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And thanks to each of you for joining us today. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Thank you.